Matthew 7:1 says, "Judge not, that you be not judged." This is perhaps the most popular shield in our culture, used to shut down any form of moral accountability. We've turned it into a mind your own business mantra. However, if you keep reading to Matthew 7:5, Jesus clarifies his intent. You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Jesus isn't forbidding us from using our brains or discerning right from wrong. He is forbidding the arrogant, holier-than-thou attitude that ignores personal failure while hunting for the failures of others. The goal of biblical judgment isn't to win an argument. It's to see clearly enough to help a friend find their way back. Philippians 4:13 declares, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." You'll see this on the shoes of star athletes and the bio of high achievers. But when the Apostle Paul wrote this, he wasn't standing on a podium. He was in a prison cell. In Philippians 4:12, he sets the stage. "I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want." The all things Paul can do isn't about scoring touchdowns or getting a promotion. It's about the supernatural ability to be satisfied in Christ even when your stomach is empty and your freedom is gone. This isn't a victory chant for winners. It's a survival anthem for those who refuse to let their circumstances dictate their joy. Matthew 18:20 promises, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them." We often use this to comfort a small group of people at a prayer meeting, but the context is actually much more intense. This verse is the conclusion of a teaching on church discipline. In Matthew 18:15 through 17, Jesus describes how to handle a brother who is stuck in sin. When he says he is present among the 2 or 3, he is speaking specifically about the witnesses required to bring a formal charge. He is promising divine authority to the church when they have to make the heavy, painful decision to remove an unrepentant member. It's a reminder that God is present not just in our celebrations, but in our most difficult moments of seeking holiness. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." We treat this like a personalized Hallmark card for our careers. But this was written to refugees whose city had just been leveled by an invading army. In Jeremiah 29:10, God drops the bombshell. "When 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come to you." This wasn't a promise of immediate success. It was a promise that God had unforgotten them while they were stuck in enemy territory for a lifetime. This verse teaches us that God's plan for our good is often measured in decades, not days. It is a call to trust His character when our current reality looks like a disaster. Psalm 105:15 warns, "Do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm." This is often used by leaders today to silence critics, suggesting that to question a pastor is to attack God. But if you look at Psalm 105:13, the context is the physical protection of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as they wandered through dangerous nations. God was preventing kings from physically destroying His chosen family. It was never a get-out-of-jail-free card for leaders to avoid accountability. In fact, the most anointed king in the Bible, David, was famously confronted by the prophet Nathan. Being anointed doesn't mean you are above correction. It means you are called to a standard of truth that invites it. 1 Corinthians 10:13 tells us, "God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear." You'll often hear this misquoted as God won't give you more than you can handle. But life gives us more than we can handle every single day. Just look at the suffering some people face daily. This verse is specifically talking about temptation. It continues, "But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." God doesn't promise that you won't be overwhelmed by grief or tragedy. He promises that you will never be backed into a corner where sin is your only option. The goal isn't self-sufficiency. It's finding the exit sign of grace when the pressure to fail is at its peak. 1 Timothy 6:10 states, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." Most people drop the first three words and claim that money is the root of all evil, but money is just paper and ink. It's neutral. The problem isn't the currency, it's the crave. Paul clarifies this just before in 1 Timothy 6 verse 9, where he says that people who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap. You can be a billionaire with a heart for God, or you can be broke and obsessed with wealth. The warning is against letting your bank account become your master. Money makes a great servant, but it makes a terrible God. Matthew 7 verse 7 promises, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you." We love to treat this like a spiritual vending machine. But Jesus is teaching us about the nature of a father, not a genie. In James 4 verse 3, we find the vital balancing truth. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. The asking Jesus describes is a persistent, ongoing lifestyle of seeking God's will, not just our own comfort. We don't ask to get what we want. We ask to align our hearts with what He wants. True prayer isn't about moving God's hand. It's about moving our souls closer to Him.